Hi, I am not CJ Ward, as you could tell. He's not here. Wow, I just said that again too. Damn it. Let me do this again.
You're doing what CJ does.
Exactly.
You're trying to be all perfect.
CJ. Even when he's not here, he's affecting us. Okay. All right. The cat's away, so the mice will play. As you can tell, I'm not CJ, and he's not here today. But today, we got Christina here.
Hello.
And we have Dan.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Just the three of us, right?
It's just the three of us. We're going to do something a little different today. We're also testing out some new equipment, so if you think it's a little buggy, well, so be it.
Yeah.
So
We're definitely tweaking the new stuff here.
yeah. First off, I just want to say that Christina has some interesting and reliable news
Absolutely.
about Willow Springs, and we
sure
can put
do.
all the rumors to rest. This is
Yes.
from an official source.
Yes, it is.
Can we
Yes.
reveal the source?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but before we get to that, go ahead and hit the like button if you like what we're doing. Subscribe. We also have a tip line page. I'm getting this shit out all
Yeah.
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably forget later on, unless you remind me, Dan.
Okay.
But yeah, if you like what we're doing, and you want to see more of this and more of CJ
Or us.
or us, I don't know. This is, like I said, this is going to be interesting. So, anyways, what was I going to say?
I
You're
don't
gonna
know.
say like, subscribe.
Yeah,
already
I
said
did
all
that.
that.
I did that. I did
the
all that.
tip line.
No,
Tip
man,
line?
I lost my thought.
Yeah.
This is way harder than it looks. Seriously, hosting the show. Anyways, no, okay. So today we wanted to do something different. One of the things that I feel like the feedback that I've gotten, and I think you guys might have gotten as well, is they don't know a lot about us.
Right.
And since CJ is not here, we're gonna talk about CJ.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And in doing so, hopefully reveal things about us, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, CJ is such
that's
a
the
great
idea.
host and a great interviewer that he's always focused on our guests or on other people. And CJ doesn't really talk about himself that much anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one of the things that people are surprised by, at least people that don't live in the Ventura, Santa Barbara County areas, is that CJ is like a legit news anchor, reporter,
Journalist.
Right.
Yeah.
with like 40 years experience, and he's kind of like a local celebrity. If you ever hang out with him in Santa Barbara, like we do some on occasion, he'll get bombarded by people like locals going, "Hey CJ, hi," or whatever, and CJ's, he's like, "Oh, hey, hi, whatever."
And Beth, his wife, is his sometimes co-anchor, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes they co-anchor.
She's a journalist as well, and
Yeah.
very good one as well.
Wow.
And so there's like this family dynamic. So I'm like, okay, so just so you know, he's like kind of like a local celebrity, and people say he talks so well on camera. He does such a great. I go, he should, because that's what
Yeah.
he does for a living.
Right.
But almost too good. Like he's always on point, and and I was like, dude, CJ, just loosen up a little bit,
Yeah.
man. So I don't know. We're gonna try something.
Yeah.
in
But
the
that's
future.
his life.
That
So like
is-
that's what he's used
Look,
to. And
40 years doing this day in and day out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard to turn that off because, like,
For sure.
Right.
Dan, you could attest to this. We've had him on camera so many times where we had to do these takes where, like, CJ, relax. You're too perfect. You're too on point.
Yeah.
Relax. Just chill. We
Yeah.
actually did an interview with him a while back where we made him sit on the floor because that's the only way we could get him to, like,
Oh, interesting.
relax. Yeah,
Okay.
and it worked.
Yeah,
Right.
it
So maybe
did.
we'll have him do the show from sitting on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
I like
with
his.
we could all do
Yeah.
a powwow Indian style,
Oh,
right?
boy.
Absolutely.
Crisscross applesauce, and everyone
Yeah.
sits down there
Smoke
on the
peyote
floor.
and all that
That
stuff.
gets a little hard when you're over 40, but I'll try. Or we could just take shots right before and loosen up a little bit. That would work too.
Actually, that sounds fantastic. So, anyways, yeah. So I wanted to talk about CJ a little bit because he's a huge Porsche guy. A lot of people don't know this. He's got the Corvairs, and his passion is cars. He loves cars. He loves telling stories about the cars, and that's how this whole thing started. The West of Tulsa. It's a long, drawn out story. We've talked about this in the past, but this is a huge thing for CJ. He's sunk he's sunk everything into this money, effort, and he's just gung ho about it. And he's put his faith in us as well to help him in this journey. So I just wanted to let our audience know that.
Yeah.
So kind of
Yeah.
a bit of context.
Absolutely.
Because
yeah.
and it's perfect that he's not here, because if we did, he would be so embarrassed right now. So when he watches the show, he's going to be like, oh.
He's going to be cringing.
Oh, yeah, he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
right,
God,
yeah.
is this
What
going to
did
be
they
over?
say?
So
Yeah.
sorry,
Oh, gosh.
CJ. We had to
Yeah.
do this, but that's what you get for not being here. So,
Yes. And I do have to say that the one day that I spent with CJ at Cars and Coffee Ventura,
Oh yeah.
outside of us doing some random interviews last minute, when he was just CJ with his Porsche, it was interesting because he was in his element. People loved his car. Everybody came over, wanted to look at his car. He checked it, let everybody check it out. One of my friends actually sat in his car, and he was just loving it. And it was kind of cool to see him in his element of just being him with his car.
And you rarely see that.
You rarely see that.
The total behind the scenes thing, and that was one of the things that people want to see more of.
Yeah.
With a lot of the feedback that I got from our viewers was that we want to see more of like the inner workings and like what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, that's what a podcast, that's what a show, a YouTube channel is all about. Is seeing
you shot that little behind the scenes just on your phone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, "That's the best thing you guys have ever posted." It was so real.
Yeah, I'm like, oh man, that sucks for all the hard work we did on other shows. They don't want any of that stuff, but they want us
the goofy stuff.
Which, you know what? Hey, I like it too. And I had to think about, well, that's why I watch a lot of YouTube channels. Is like I want an inside peek into these people's world or whatever. So we're gonna do more of that.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, and so Christina's transition to talking about the her and CJ going to Cars and Coffee. This kind of actually sparked why we're talking about this today, is because Christina and I were having a conversation the other day after they went to a Cars and Coffee, because Christina shot and CJ shot an interview each at a Cars and Coffee, and CJ. Of course, he's on point. We're talking about a Jaguar guy, and he's like, it's all good and so pro. And then all of a sudden, he throws Christina into the deep end. It's like, okay, now it's your turn, and you're going to go interview. Is it Rich?
Rich,
who we both know, pretty well.
He's a friend,
And she did the interview like almost like in
like I didn't know him.
Yeah, like in Talladega Nights. I was like, I don't know what to do with him.
It was funny. It was funny because there was so much I wanted to say and do, and I was like, I just need to be nice and like proper and get the interview done the right way, and that wasn't the right way.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is Rich, man. You should be talking so much smack to
this
guy.
I wanted
to. But Christina was like, I don't want to, it was following CJ. And I was like, here's the thing. CJ is CJ. No one's going to be like CJ. At least no one in this room. And we shouldn't try to be like CJ, right?
No,
I agree,
for sure.
This is part of Christina coming out of your cocoon.
That's right.
Right? Self-inflicted cocoon maybe or whatever. And just going buck wild.
Right.
Right? Because I've been around you long enough to know that you're definitely a wild spirit. And I think our audience wants to see that.
Right.
It's just like, Dan. Dan has... His wild spirit is literally what you see. What you see on camera with Dan is how he is in real life.
Yeah.
Same with me. I talk a lot of smack. I talk too much, and I like rotaries. I mean, that's pretty much me in a nutshell, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna find out more about Christina, the real Christina, soon. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So, anyways, let's just start off with the Willow Springs news, okay?
Yeah.
So we last year we had a group of women on the show that talked about the new ownership of Willow Springs. It was Martina Kwan, right?
Yeah.
Had mentioned that.
We had Martina on the Porsche show.
Yeah,
right.
and they were very they have their racing school at Willow Springs, right?
Yes.
So they have direct knowledge, right? And they said to us, they didn't give us the full details, but she did say to us at the end of the show that we'll be happy with the new ownership.
It's in good hands.
Exactly.
I think was what she said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll take that with a grain of salt. Okay, cool. Fast forward to March or February or whenever this letter came out.
Yeah, March.
That all these people had posted, big media outlets saying that, Willow Springs is going to be taken over by a
venture capital group, VC group, right?
And then everybody starts going, "Oh God, here's the end." Mm-hmm. Da, 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 da. And then I'm like, "How do you know this? You don't know this." And there's just
all the negativity started running around Instagram.
Yep. And I was just like, "Okay, you guys need to be quiet," So fast forward to this weekend.
Yeah, so Saturday was All Japan Showdown and
at Willow Springs.
At Willow Springs, Big Willow, and my buddy Roddy kind of runs around the track. I don't know exactly what he does, but every time I'm there, he manages and he's constantly reposting our stuff on their page. He runs the Instagram page, but he came and he always visits. He's a super nice guy, and he was like, "Look, I know you guys you did a show and a lot of people who are kind of talking about the racetrack. So I just want to set the record straight. The racetrack is not going anywhere. It is staying." It's closing for a few months or something during the summer just so that they can repave. he was kind of pointing to the ground at Big Willow at how bad it is, and it needs to
It's
be
like cracked
repaved.
and potholes.
Yeah,
and stuff,
it's pretty
right?
bad.
Yeah.
And so he was like, they're just basically going to be cleaning it up and paving it. And, people are slowly moving out still, but that it's not going anywhere. So people need to just take a chill pill, basically.
Yeah.
So
Have you guys heard now? Some of the stuff I heard, I know a lot of the online stuff is just bullshit. but
Yes.
Have you read something about the VC group is putting so much money into it that they want to do, like, I guess there's some tracks where you can buy condos and stuff, and it's very high end. It's like the normal people can't afford to drive there anymore to race there. Have you heard anything about that?
Well, I think there's all these assumptions that's what it's going to turn into, like what is it, Circuit in Texas, I think, where they have all the condos
there's
with
several
like,
of them around the
United
States.
like Spring Mountain in Nevada, that does that, Trump or whatever.
I think that everybody has the assumption that that's going to happen because that's like, I mean, if a venture capitalist group is coming in, that's probably like what they might do. But from what it sounds like is that owners are coming in. We don't know who they are as of tomorrow, but supposedly they're not doing that. So, but who knows? Maybe way down the road. I don't know.
If they're going to start doing some renovations there, I'm all for a price increase, because if you're getting more by paying more, I'm all for it. We don't know that for sure yet.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard, and this is all rumors too, that there are people buying up parcels. There's a lot of people that own parcels around the track already.
Yes.
That are starting to sell off pieces of it because people want their to be developed. The biggest problem with Willow Springs, if you've ever been out there, is that the lodging is terrible.
Yes.
Right. And it's in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
a lot of people camp on the track.
Yeah, which
it's
I ain't going camping. That's just not me. So
and
I'll drive 30 minutes to Palmdale.
So windy on Saturday. Like Jeff, our buddy Jeff, he spent the night in his truck the night before, and he was like, it was unbelievably windy.
Yeah. So if people start developing, I mean, put another hotel around, or just lodging or Airbnbs or whatever, I'm all for it. And if it costs a little bit more, I pay it because it is convenient.
Yes.
The track is convenient.
Well, now that everything around LA is shut down or in the process of shutting down, I mean, if someone is smart, these VC people, there's a big opportunity out there because it's a funnel. There's not a lot left, right? So, people aren't getting rid of their cars. Oh, there's nowhere to drive my car. They're either doing street takeover bullshit or they're going to go out to Willow, right? Yeah. So there's an opportunity out there to build. Doesn't need to be a resort level, just a nice, clean, mid-level hotel.
Yeah,
and a restaurant.
I think
right there, a good
one. If this new group, they look at their market, their core audience, they're going to realize that you're not going to. You have the people with a lot of money. Porsche Club of America goes out there. They have a lot of big dollar race car guys that go out there, but they also have a lot of people that are just Joe Schmo guys like myself and Christina, and we don't have huge budgets to go, so they don't want to alienate those people. But at the same time, you've got to cover costs. So if you have a brand new track, like I don't expect to go race at Circuit of America and be like, I expect to pay the same price as Willow Springs. That's ridiculous.
I don't think that's going to happen.
So we'll see. But the reality of it is the track is not going anywhere. It's official. You heard it here.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting.
He made it clear that I can tell as many people as I want, because I think they just don't like this negative stigma that's being put on it right now.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
Yeah, and people, they want to be negative Nancy's. I mean, that is the internet. That is what's happening right now. And so speaking of negative, if you guys are going to get all kinds of, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff that's going to piss a lot of people off, I'm sure. But segue into the first segment or second segment that I wanted to talk about today was the negativity and the vandalizing people's cars.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Tesla thing has been a thing the last couple of weeks or months or whatever.
Yeah.
But just in general, as a car person, we're all car people. Dan, you are officially a car person this year.
Damn.
I know. We'll still call you the non-car guy. We'll get the T-shirt, but still.
Well, I'm on the show, so I must.
I think it's messed up to mess up anybody's car. I don't care how bad the car is. I don't care what is. Like, if you ever had your car vandalized, stolen, things taken off your car, wheels stolen.
Machine
gunned.
When I worked in Inglewood, my Mitsubishi truck got bullet holes in it from being machine gunned in a gang thing.
What?
Yeah. I've never told that story. I don't have pictures of it, but yeah. I was working down in Inglewood, and I came out after work one night. It's big public parking lot. And and I know it's a machine gun because it was like a line.
Well, you also
of
know
bullet
guns
holes.
too. You.
But if someone was just boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
random holes,
Yeah.
this
Right.
was a line of holes about 3 inches apart. So it was like obviously full auto.
Wow.
Went to Inglewood PD. They were like, "Oh, yeah, take a report." So
What year was this?
that was a long time ago. This is like in the 80s.
Oh, back when you can actually have access to full auto weapons.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
in Inglewood and Compton, you could
Yeah,
always
yeah,
have
yeah,
access
yeah,
to
yeah.
full auto weapons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I walked out and it was just like,
I mean,
man.
I've had cars broken into, and I've had things stolen from it, and you feel so violated.
Totally.
You know,
It's just like your house. If your house is
Yeah.
broken into, it's the same
Yeah.
feeling. Your
Yeah.
car, your house, it's the same
Well,
thing.
and the same, like, that goes for Gary. So he obviously just got his wheels stolen off of his car. It was parked on the street. Somebody came and propped it up, stole his wheels.
He didn't have the
and
lung lug
He
things.
said he did. And
For
Oh, and they
context,
got him
for-
off
Yeah.
anyway.
For our viewers,
yeah,
who,
Gary King. He drives a few cars, but this one was his daily. And he came out and I guess found that his car was propped up, and there were 2 Lexus wheels used as props, and then they broke his side skirts. And so the hard part with that is that's his. He works hard for his stuff,
Yeah.
and he felt violated, and it was like, and he was kind of like, you even took my lug nuts. It's like, just bring me back my lug nuts and I'll be okay. Like I want my lug nuts. And he, he even did a YouTube video about it. And because I guess they found out who it was, and he blasted him on YouTube and was like, look, just bring me back my lug nuts. And
did he tell you how they found who it was?
So I think some people, because they left Lexus wheels,
That's
I think
weird.
some people were like, maybe keeping an eye out for a GS that had his wheels on it. And there was a picture of that car with his wheels on it that he had painted them black. And so, like, thinking, oh, nobody's gonna notice. I guess I don't know, but he blasted him on.
So that was the community coming through.
Yes, yeah,
See,
that's what it sounds
that
like. Yeah,
is bad, and that's one thing I have noticed too. Is when people get something like that happen to them, they go on their channel, their outlet, to get the community to
Yeah.
find out who did this if you
Absolutely.
can. And the community,
Yeah.
I've seen more times than not, comes through
Yeah.
faster than the authorities. Which I
Yes.
get that the community is there around. And most of the times these guys steal stuff, they don't actually
Yeah.
live too far away.
Well, it's the
Yeah.
hive mind, right? Everyone's like, "Aren't those Gary's wheels?"
Yeah, and
check
he
those
looked
out.
like some punk street takeover kid. He because his Instagram page is public, and there were a lot of people going on his page and saying, "Just give him his lug nuts back."
Wow.
Like so yeah, it was heart-wrenching watching his video because he works really hard for what he has,
Yeah.
and it's so messed up.
And that's one thing as a car person, like with all the Teslas, like I don't care what side of the fence you're on, you don't mess with somebody's car. They work hard for that car.
Yeah.
And even if they don't, even if the car was given to them, it doesn't matter. It's their personal property. You don't do that. Going to a Tesla dealership or car dealership to ruin some guy's car, okay, I get it. No one's actually taken ownership of that car yet. I'm not saying that's better, but at least don't mess with people's personal vehicles. It just irks me.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what makes me a boomer is it's the whole thing. It's like waste. I hate to see waste. That's whether you love Teslas, hate Teslas,
Yeah.
love Elon, hate Elon. That's a $50,000 to $100,000 piece of machinery sitting
Yeah.
there that somebody worked hard for.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's just completely stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. The waste. It's completely wasteful.
Yeah.
And
Right.
now they ought to go spend more money to repair or replace said vehicle.
Yeah.
And now it's just further
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole we go.
Yeah, and it's just more waste and more, people are like, save the planet, drive an EV, but destroy EVs and
Yeah.
save the
I
planet.
mean,
Wait,
you
it
go to
doesn't
Cars
quite-
and Coffee or a car show, right? And I'm sure I've seen it plenty of times where somebody's leaning on somebody's car or touching somebody's car. I'm
Yes.
like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they're like, what do you mean? It's like, you have no respect for somebody's personal property. It's not even about being a car
Right.
person. It's like,
Right.
you know not to touch other people's stuff?
You've seen that guy. There's a guy on YouTube who has a YouTube channel or Instagram where he remote starts like his Lamborghini because
Yes,
people are always
I've seen
lounging
that.
all over it and it's like unpiped. It's like super loud, scares the crap out of people. This
like
guy has a channel and it's like millions of viewers because people are like, you're leaning on the guy's freaking Lamborghini.
Yeah, but
I think
I've
he's
seen a few
Israeli
of
or
his videos,
something.
and unfortunately, some of them are staged.
Oh,
they're not real.
Everything on the internet's fake.
It's hard,
It's
but
all
but
fake.
I get it
It's all
though.
fake,
Like,
Christina.
and I've seen it actually at Cars and Coffee Ventura. I've seen people just. In fact, I remember one of my girlfriends, who's not really a car friend, she was getting awfully close to a car, and I had to be the one to be like, "You need to just move your tushy over a little bit more, please, because that's a little too close."
Yeah.
And I will call you out because that's not okay.
It needs to be called out. And
Yeah.
It's not cool, man.
No.
It's not cool. And if they don't know, okay, they need to be educated.
Yeah.
If they do know, they need to be blasted because you shouldn't put up with that.
Right. Yes.
So, yeah, it's just, it's just vandalizing somebody's car. It's just,
it's just sad. So
Well,
sad.
Christina, what are your thoughts on this whole Tesla mess? Because you've seen people are, torching them and getting arrested and so on. I mean,
it's ridiculous. It's just such sad mentality that people are doing stuff like that. But it's the people that do stuff like that, they have no value for people. Like that's just how they are. And so, I absolutely do not agree with it. I think what's funny is seeing photos of somebody putting Toyota emblems on their
that
Tesla.
is hilarious. Yeah, I saw that.
But,
it's not a Tesla. It's not a Tesla, I swear.
It's the Toyota Cybertruck. Yeah, I seen that picture. I can appreciate it because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't think the person was really trying to disguise that it's not a Tesla because how do you disguise a Cybertruck?
Why
Yeah.
don't you put a Mazda badge on your Tesla, Gabe?
Actually, I kind of have one. I have a 7-stock license plate frame that says "We are
okay.
Rotary." So, but maybe they think I'm part of the Rotary Club or the Kiwanis Club. I don't know. So, I don't know if that'll work. But hey,
That's funny.
like I said, I'm not emotionally attached to my Tesla. I do pay for it. I work hard to pay for it.
You'd still be pissed if someone
I would be
keyed it or
pissed, but like
spray painted it.
maybe I'll just go get a new one now. I have insurance. But that's the funny part about the Teslas. They don't know that there's cameras everywhere on the Tesla recording this stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect car to get arrested for vandalizing.
Well,
right?
I mean, people who are doing stuff like that aren't very smart. So
There's a lot of dumb people out there, for sure.
Yeah, and especially I saw one guy grabbing his like ass cheese and like wiping it on. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Why
Wow.
you have to walk away with your hands smelling like ass?
Oh
like,
my
dude,
God.
you're the loser, dude. So
That's sad.
okay. So I
Wow, ass cheese.
sorry.
When you do the keywords on this one, it's
I'm sorry. Like I said, hey, just for full context, I'm not supposed to be on this show. I'm trying to get kicked off of it, but everybody keeps saying I have to be on the show. So I'm sorry if you don't like what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if ass cheese is going to get you kicked off.
I don't know if CJ will let me be on the show or host the show again, but whatever,
Amanda, not there you go. That was better.
This episode smells like ass, Gabe. What? I don't know what's up.
Episode does smell like ass. All right. Well, I guess I'll just segue into the next segment.
Okay. Fair enough.
We'll get even more, I don't say political, but we'll talk about tariffs.
Tariffs,
right?
I'm
not gonna. There's plenty of people out there that are gonna talk about what the tariffs mean and what this could mean and what it does for the auto industry, what it does for people, blah blah blah, blah whatever. But the only thing that I could think of, and the reason why I want to talk about this is because I was in a group chat with a couple guys that we build cars together, and I said this screenshot of the tariffs coming. It's like, oh my gosh, what parts do I need to buy, like from Japan before the tariffs hit? And I really thought about it, because I was like, oh yeah, maybe you should buy some parts. And I thought to myself, at least for the RX-7 that we're gonna build for him, I was like, nothing. Because the parts that we have on the cars that are available to us now all come from the U.S. Like the builders and these manufacturers in the U.S. that build parts, aftermarket, of course, for the RX-7 or the rotary platform, they're really, really good. And even the ones that are not in the U.S., like in Thailand, most of our carbon fiber on our cars comes from Thailand. Their carbon fiber game is on point.
Oh, I had no idea, really.
It's on point, yeah.
Wow.
And then I thought, Thailand, I don't know if people know this, but our guy that we follow, CB Media on YouTube,
yeah, he's great.
He talks about the 300% import duty tax in Thailand. I go, 300%.
It's insane. It's insane.
You've got GTRs that are almost $1 million because of the import duty tax. 300%. So if your car's $100,000, it's 300 grand in Thailand, and that's on all imported vehicles into Thailand.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so they make more stuff there. They have a lot of sub industries like carbon fiber.
So getting parts in Thailand is expensive, but what's cheap is their labor, and their labor is good.
Yeah,
they've come a long way, and they can argue a strong case that they build some really cool stuff in Thailand and quality parts. All the parts that I've bought from Thailand in the last couple of years have been great. Phenomenal.
Well, I like CB Media's thing where he highlights Thailand-specific variants of cars.
Yeah.
Like K cars and trucks.
Yeah.
So cool. Stuff that we'll never get or have never had.
The Isuzus, man. The Isuzus kill me. All those little diesels. I'm like,
the D-Max,
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they race them. I mean, they race everything in Thailand, basically.
Shopping carts, ambulances,
didn't he, at
school
one time
buses.
he was covering the boats, the speed boats.
Oh, he covers all that
gnarly.
stuff.
The Thai longboats.
Yeah, those are so cool.
Insane.
I would totally go for a ride.
I would totally
I would be scared. I'd be
Yeah.
scared, but I would totally go for
Oh
a
no,
ride.
I've showed a few people some of those videos. I'm like, if I go to Thailand, I want a ride in one of those boats.
For sure.
Oh heck
I think he actually offers them now. That he does like these like tours where you
Really?
Oh, really?
yeah.
Oh, that'd be
so
fun.
he's actually worked with a company or a guy that they offer tours through his channel.
The Thai Longboat CB
That's
Media
so
Special.
cool.
Whatever. I like what he's doing. I've been following him for a long time now.
Yeah, he's good. I like
and
him.
I was like, so mad props to Chad at the CB Media. He's,
Yep.
he'll never see the show, I'm sure, but I'm just saying.
And even if you're not a car guy, I mean, you turned me on to that channel, and I've watched it, and that guy's good, man.
He's entertaining.
He is good.
He's super entertaining, and
Yeah.
his motorcycle tour of the Highlands and stuff. Like
Yeah.
the guy just he
I
just
got
makes
to see all his
compelling content.
wipeouts too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love he's got the southern accent. You know, it's the best in Thailand. So, anyways, so not to get off on a tangent here, but like with all these tariffs and stuff, I thought to myself, are the tariffs really going to affect a lot of people, at least in the aftermarket JDM community, who are trying to get parts? And now I know Sean over at Top Rank, he's gone into a lot of depth on how the tariffs will affect his importing, because he does importing of JDM vehicles, specifically like Skylines and just really exotic JDM cars. I know it'll affect him, and that's unfortunate. But outside of that, will it affect a lot of people?
Well, maybe you and Christina could explain for the benefit, because I know you guys are both JDM people. I mean, you with the Rotaries and you with your Nissans and stuff and Subarus. But can you explain a little bit about the perception of JDM parts back from like the 90s versus today and so on? Because I know when I made the drifting film, it was like, all these brands I'd never heard of, and it was like grammatically incorrect brands, and that was very like Brid seats, Brid, what is that, maybe talk a little bit about that. That's interesting.
Well, I'll just say this. Back in the 90s, when I bought parts, they were like the only ones you could buy.
Right.
Like no one in the US was really doing it. Or manufacturing, I should say. They were importing it, and the parts were pretty good.
Well, it's because the cars of that era were the hot JDM cars, the AE86 and the S13 and all that.
Christina
right?
had said earlier before we started the show, she said is that the difference is that the parts in Japan were made in Japan still.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot
Yes.
a lot of the manufacturing in Japan has gone outsourced to China, and it shows.
And it's not good stuff.
It's not good.
And that's why, like, I know specifically vintage wheels, there are still some that you can find that were originally made in Japan, but most of them are not.
Yeah.
They were made in China.
But these are Japanese
Taiwan.
brands. They're marketed as Japanese.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of people think they're getting Japanese made products, and a lot of times they're not.
Yeah, and I think there's starting to be a backlash of that. I know a lot of people don't buy the JDM parts because they know that they're made in China, and I think there's going to be some kind of like reckoning of that. But at the same time, I've seen some China manufactured parts that are pretty good. So, but the price doesn't always reflect that to me.
Yeah.
So if you're marketing something as a JDM Japanese product, but it's made in China, it's like, I kind of feel a little off. But from my point of view, I come from like the high performance. We're trying to make power.
Yeah.
And Japan hasn't been doing that for a long time. So I don't buy on my SC300, my 2J drag project. There is zero parts from Japan other than the actual Lexus like chassis and the engine block. Everything is either Australian or American in my car.
Okay.
And granted, this is for a drag racing setup, which is mostly an American sport.
Well,
anyway.
because I mean, Australia is huge in racing.
Yeah, and they're huge in 2J parts and rotary parts. So a lot of the good stuff comes from Australia. I know the tariffs will affect parts from coming from Australia.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to pay for because they're quality parts. I mean, we paid up the wazoo during from COVID on because the price increase, the inflation is ridiculous. Is almost more than 25% if you ask me for the parts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I'm just mentioning this because it is just something that's going to affect us all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm looking forward to maybe buying a Ford Expedition because if the interest payments can get offset by tax income, if Trump says that's actually true, that would incentivize me to buy a Ford Expedition, which I actually like. I like American cars.
Well, and if the strategy works, and we, what was it? Hyundai just opened their $6 billion plant that they're here, that they're trumpeting and stuff. Like that's awesome. I mean, if we could get, Camrys and Toyotas have been made here for what, 30 years, right?
Yeah, Accords have always been made in the US.
Ohio and so on.
Yeah.
So I think if we can get that, you kind of get the best of both worlds. It's like we're supporting American workers, our own economy, but we're getting the cars we want, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a win-win if it works.
Yeah, and that's a big if. I heard a quote, especially about any president, is like the best way to judge a president is on their last day, not their first day. And I was like, oh, that'll be interesting.
True.
So because I know a lot of people had high hopes for Biden when he got in office, and people have high hopes for Trump now that he's back in office again.
Yeah.
Not to get off on a political tangent because I'm not the one to talk about that
political
stuff. No, we're not.
Yeah.
But like I said, these things are affecting the community.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that just leads me into the next segment.
Yes.
Which is the SB712, which is Senate Bill 712 here in California. Some call it the Leno Law. He's endorsed this bill.
Yeah.
And this bill in California will basically allow us to meet the smog exemption standards that other states have been doing for a long time, which was cars that are 35 years and older will be exempt from smog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is reasonable.
Which is now 1990. If that doesn't make you feel old, I don't know what does.
Well, and there's not millions of them. There's like hundreds of thousands of them, but not millions.
Exactly.
Of them, right?
So, a lot of the argument on the other side of that bill, that people that oppose it, was, well, you're going to have these old cars in traffic. No one's driving these old cars in traffic.
Right.
They're worth too much in general.
Well, even if the ones that aren't worth a lot, there's a lot of a second gen RX-7 guys that their cars are worth $1,000 and they run.
Yeah.
They're not driving it in day-to-day traffic.
No, and that's the thing. They usually have a second car, like an electric vehicle that they drive around, and those.
I know you're looking at me.
Gabe.
Exactly.
Well, that kind of not to go off subject or go off on a tangent too much, but that was running through my mind as we were talking about the tariffs and everything and about the JDM stuff. Is the age of the cars that you guys all go nuts over? You have an S13, right? It's not
14. It's a 95.
I have
your
S13.
S14. You have an S13.
I do.
Yeah.
You have an RX-7. You have an RX-8, and so on. These cars are getting old.
Yes.
Like you were just talking about the 90s,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, so I think just by attrition, if you don't build these cars soon, they're just going to be in the junkyard.
Exactly.
Because if you have a $1,000 RX-7, unless you're going to build it, why would you want that around?
Exactly. Also, too, let's not even go that far. Let's talk about a car that's like I don't know, a family minivan or station wagon or Dajiban or whatever, but something that is still part of the family that you still use that runs strong. I mean, how many Tundras have you seen that go 1,000,000 miles? Toyota trucks, right? And they're driving them. That's not their collector car.
True. They're dailies, right?
People
plenty of them out on the roads,
and they run their businesses or they live their life off these vehicles. This will benefit them directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, cars aren't built like they were in the 70s. These are efficient cars. I mean, Dan and I have worked on a diesel project with a client for a long time, and people get this misconceived notion that diesels are all bad. Yes, diesel's fuel is low grade, but if you burn it correctly, it's going to be okay. It will be cleaner than you could ever imagine. But most people, I won't get into that, but these cars are not polluting our airs like a lot of people allow other people to believe. Matter of fact, a lot of these, pollution comes from like a jet plane. I heard like just one flight from a jet plane puts out as much emissions from one vehicle over its whole lifetime in one flight.
Wow.
So it's like, if you're gonna
right.
And we could extrapolate that to here we are in North America and in Europe and the EU worried about all the emissions that we're doing. And if you look at the hard numbers and you go to COP like I've been to the World Climate Summit, the pollution's coming from China, and it's coming from India.
Yeah.
It's not coming from the EU and the United States.
Yeah, they said like you know, the pollution that happens in China, which is a lot because they have like zero regulations.
Right.
Comes through the jet stream. 6 months later, lands in our in our country. You know, I mean, that is a big.
We all want clean air, obviously, but it's not a American solution. It's not an EU solution. It's got to be a world solution, and those countries got to step up. And if they don't, then all this other stuff is just going through the motions. That's all it is.
Yeah. So, anyways,
but people don't want to hear that. Sorry, going on a tangent. Going off on a big tangent.
But like I said, one of the things, and I don't understand this because ever since we started figuring out, I say we, but like the community started figuring out how much power we can make with E85 alternative fuels, right? With this ethanol, which is based off of corn, basically.
Right.
That burns way cleaner than any other fuel, right? And it produces power. It's great. Granted, you use a lot more of it, but we have an enormous supply of ethanol in this country because of how much corn we produce.
True.
Right? So, to me, we're already like E85. Most cars run on E85, especially high-performance cars running on E85 because it makes good power. It's cheap. It works. The cars burn cleaner.
Yeah.
I just bought a new generator. And in the generator owner's manual and everywhere you read about it, it says you don't want to burn ethanol gas in a lawnmower, a chainsaw, a generator, and so on because it dries up. You know, the way you use it, you're not using it every day.
Yeah.
And I discovered, and I actually asked you about this, Gabe, that getting non-ethanol fuel in California is almost impossible. You have to buy racing fuel, Sunoco, or you got to go buy True Fuel at Home Depot, which is $22 a gallon.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the ethanol's in full effect in California. You really can't not buy it.
Which is interesting, though, because you typically have to tune your vehicle or modify it in a certain way to run E85. And it's not legal. So you could get state refed if they find stuff like that. And that's the crazy part.
Yeah. Which is funny because like a lot of Chevy vehicles, trucks, and SUVs have a flex fuel option, right? And all it is a flex fuel sensor that the computer will pick up the ethanol content of the fuel, so you can kind of mix, which you should, because ethanol fuel, if you leave it in your fuel system over time, it will gum up. But you run gas with it to alleviate that, or to minimize that. So it's like a win-win. But yet here we are, the criminals, and I'll go back to our guest that we had, the Zuma Cars and Coffee guy. What was his name? Goldfield.
I can't remember.
Anyways, the guy who runs Zuma Cars and Coffee, he says the most discriminated group of people in California or in the United States are car people. And I believe that 100% because it doesn't matter if you're black, white, red, male, female, whatever.
Absolutely.
You are going to be discriminated because you drive a car.
And
you get treated like a criminal.
And you're into cars.
Yes,
which
and
makes
there
it
are
worse.
specific cars that are profiled by police.
Yes.
As takeover cars.
Yes.
Like G35s and 350Zs. They're like known
and
takeover cars and they're
Dodge
profiled.
product.
Yes, and all yes.
All the
absolutely.
Hellcats and all those, right?
Not even those, just like the six-cylinder Chargers and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then we had our buddy at Seven Stock who we interviewed. I can't remember his name, but the guy who had the ref store.
Jacob.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, and his car was sweet. That was a sweet car.
Yeah, and since then he put his car back all the stock and he's kind of left it. And that's why I think this bill is so important.
Yeah.
Because it will if this goes through, my cars that are 90, 91, 92, you know, eventually will become legal to drive. I won't feel like a criminal. I don't, won't have to like, watch where I'm going, know. But what will get me to do is start spending money on the car, working on the car, getting it painted, getting it tuned, getting it this, getting it that, putting money back into the company, wanting to spend that money. To me, it's a positive thing. I don't see I don't see the negatives of this bill
I
going
agree.
through, especially
I
when
agree.
other states have already been doing this, and some states don't even have any regulations for this
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, there's definitely unfair persecution in California
Yeah.
of car people. That's irrefutable. I mean, it's a fact, and
Yeah.
and a lot of the politicians are almost gleeful about it, like, oh yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just wrong.
There's
Yeah.
there's another YouTuber. His name's this channel's called TK's Garage, and I love the guy. He's a diesel mechanic on an Air Force base in Nevada, and he talks a lot about the political climate and diesel and stuff like that. But he's always talking about California. Yeah, either he has friends there, or he comes there, whatever. And he's like, hey, you guys out in California, like he understands, like we have it worse than everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
for sure.
And I like the way you might not be, I might be your cup of tea, whatever. He's a very strong personality, but what he's saying is that these are all the facts here, and there's like no reason why this should not pass, because this is all makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And as car people, we like to make sense,
yeah.
right? I would imagine so. I mean, some people will say building cars doesn't make sense.
Doesn't
but to
make
me,
any
it does.
sense.
But this
Us
is
non-car people.
But this is our
look at you
passion.
and go,
This is our
Yeah.
passion. Well, it's like whether you collect stamps or build cars. I mean, to me, that's whatever you're into.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Right.
I just feel like, if enough people on both sides of the aisle get behind this, because I feel like this is such an important thing, for car people in general.
Well, we say car culture. This literally is culture. This is a large segment of people who are like fanatic about this one thing, and it's good for everything. It's good for the economy. It's good for keeping kids off the street and street takeovers. It's like, that's one thing that I've learned the past year in doing this podcast is like car people are generally pretty cool people, and they're pretty community minded.
For sure.
They want to help their community. They want to support their community and so on. So it's like, why put them in the crosshairs? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. And I'm sure there's a motive by whatever forces are behind this. But at the end of the day, and the reason I wanted to bring this up too is because I'm not into like activism and all that stuff. But we do need to write to our local senators. And if you want this bill to pass, you really need to tell them, it's like, I want you to support this bill.
Yeah.
Because
SB 712, you said, right?
SB 712, yes.
SB 712. Senate Bill 712. Look it up.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah, that's some call it the Leno Law. You can Google it, whatever.
Yeah.
Jay Leno just endorsed it. It's not his law. He just endorsed it, which I'm happy that he did. But just we need to get people behind it, because this is good for all of us.
Do we know the author of the bill?
I read it this morning as one of the senators. I forgot his name.
Is it LA area?
I don't know.
Because
I highly doubt it.
we should get behind whatever state senator is behind this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
I don't know how this works, but do you have to go to your local senator or your local politician?
Yeah, officially, but there can be phone lines and email things that you can do, and you just say you're in their district and so on. It's because he might be in Siskiyou County, population 15,000. Who knows?
You can also go through things like SEMA. They have an activist group that you can, help donate or even just get information, or they even will guide you to where you need to go to help in that process.
That's one of the things about SEMA. I've heard a lot of bad things about SEMA, but also my personal experience with SEMA is that they've been very supportive of you getting active and going for legislation. I do really appreciate that, and they've got enough influence to do that.
Yeah.
So I would say support SEMA in that aspect.
Yeah.
A voice in the industry.
We should definitely get somebody from SEMA on here. That
that
would be cool.
We've never
We really
even thought of that. That's a
should.
good idea.
And when I went to SEMA in November, they had a women's event, and it was wonderful. It was great. It was a great way to bring together a bunch of women and get you got guidance, and we did this little workshop about even just your personality and how it relates to the automotive industry. It was great. And so I love SEMA. I think they have awesome resources for people.
Yeah.
Awesome. I said it.
Awesome.
I think it was the first time. It was the first time. Yay, I'm getting better.
She didn't say beautiful yet, though, did she?
No.
She did say wow.
Oh, did I say wow?
Yeah, I haven't heard you say wow yet.
I see. I'm getting good.
Well, see, this is why this is Christina, coming out of the proverbial closet, because, I think the wow and the awesome thing that she kept saying often was the defense mechanism. Like, I'm uncomfortable. Wow, awesome. So now she doesn't have to say that because you're no longer uncomfortable.
Right.
Be liberated.
Christina's
Christina.
going to spread her wings and just fly.
She's a liberated
away.
woman.
Absolutely.
She can do whatever she wants.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
great.
Christina's words were, I can be pretty ratchet. And I said, we like ratchet. We could use some ratchet in here.
Yeah.
After you tell CJ what ratchet means.
Yeah, he probably has no clue what ratchet means.
I'm a boomer, but I do know what ratchet means.
Yeah.
You're a hip boomer there.
I'm a hip boomer. Well, I have a 30-year-old daughter, so I at least know
Well, there you go.
something.
There,
Yeah.
and CJ's got some. I think the daughters around the same age,
Yeah,
maybe a little
yeah.
younger. But it's like I'm sure they could teach him a thing or
They
two.
need to educate
you know.
him about pop culture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, Gabe, we need to start a TikTok." I'm like, "Oh, jeez." So, yeah. Well, we made it 46 minutes into this. I know I was going to talk about it. I'm just happy we made it this far.
Yeah.
Well, I think we made it this far. And I hope you watching or listening have enjoyed some of this stuff. If you like any of the stuff that we're doing, put a comment in there because we need some feedback here.
Yes,
We need
yeah.
some real feedback because
Even
wanna-
if you think we suck, tell us
Yeah,
we suck.
tell
we
us
need
we
to
suck.
know.
Yeah,
We need
I
to
would-
know.
yeah.
And why do we
You
suck?
know what? I would appreciate the negative comments because then we all know like either we're doing something right and
Yeah.
hitting the wrong things correctly or we're just doing something terrible. But
Yeah.
Engagement can never be wrong.
Yeah.
no, like what was it? Any press is good press, you know?
Yeah.
So, I really want to hear from people. And look, we've had some viewers. We have some like, I would say I can count on one or two hands people that watch the show regularly.
Mhm.
But we've had people reach out to us through the tip line, through watching the shows, and it's been great. We have been able to connect with everybody. And full disclosure, last year we went through a show every week. Like we just bang, 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 bang.
45 shows. 45 shows last year,
Yes,
I think,
and
or
then,
something. Yeah.
and if you didn't notice, one of the guys that we had started the shows with, Helm, he's no longer here. He had a family thing that happened last year, and he hasn't been able to come back. I don't know if he will come back. Hopefully, he will. We miss him.
Yeah.
Miss you, bro.
Yeah,
I think I did one show with Helm, and that was it.
and whatever. And Helm doesn't live very close, so I understand the issues that he has coming up here. But regardless, we went through a lot of changes, and we didn't really talk about them that much. And so now that we're here towards the end of the show, and people may or may not be watching, but I just want to put this out there that November, right around the time where we did 7 Stock and covered that, which we have yet to really have Bernie Herrera back on the show and talk about the show. We shot some interviews that we haven't done. I promise you we will get to it. It's just we've had to deal with a lot.
Yeah.
CJ and Beth have had a lot of family issues that they needed to sort out, some deaths in the family and so on and so forth. And me, the Rotary Lounge and team and I have now moved into the West of Tulsa shop, so we're here now. So in our garage there's a few of our cars and other stuff. So we've been going through a lot of stuff the last couple of months. Yeah, so we're trying to get back in the seat, but at the same time we're trying to produce a good show for you guys, and just would love to hear any feedback that you guys have.
Yes.
For
We're
us.
trying to be authentic with this show.
Yeah.
We're
Absolutely.
just being ourselves.
And it's a learning curve for everybody.
For
So,
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
We want to do our best, but we also want to be real with you guys and be honest with you guys and just be out there and say, hey, look, tell us what you want to hear or see, because we want to do things that everybody's interested in.
Yeah.
We've had some really interesting surprises. I didn't realize how many people actually like Corvairs. Our Corvair show did pretty well.
Yeah.
And
we learned that exotics don't track as well as we thought they would.
no,
It's like
at least not with us.
we've had some crazy exotics on this show,
Yeah.
and some great people who brought them and showed them to us and stuff. But generally, it's like I think people can't relate. It's like I can't relate to a $500,000 Ferrari. It's just not
I would
my-
love to
not my
relate to
jam.
that,
Yeah.
but I just that ain't
Yeah,
happening.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we want to do what people want to see for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I believe people want to see more of Christina. So, Christina is going to host this show soon.
the real Christina.
Yeah. The Christina after a couple shots.
The ratchet Christina.
Ratchet Christina.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, by the way, real quick before we sign off, how's the car speed dating going?
Oh, it's funny that you ask that because I have been bombarded lately by people who are like, when's the next event? I want to go.
I've been asked.
And I've had a few people who are like, do you have any people in this age range? I'm looking for this specific age range. And so on Saturday at All Japan Showdown, I was out there and I was hoping people would kind of come up. But it was busy. Everybody's busy with their cars and stuff, so it didn't really happen. But I need to do another event.
Your last one was Valentine's Day.
It was on Valentine's Day, and it was more of like a get-together type of thing. It wasn't an actual speed dating.
It was fun. I brought the wife and kid. Yeah. We had a good time.
It was fun. Everybody actually loved Gabe, which was hilarious because he's the married man.
Is he single?
Well, I got nothing to lose. I can say whatever I want.
Well, they loved him and his wife. I should probably say that.
There's that.
His wife is awesome.
Oh, I love her. She's amazing.
She's so great.
I love her. So
I wish she watched the show. She could hear all this stuff, but she doesn't watch our show. Damn.
So yeah, I will be hopefully I've been so busy with Women's Month. So today's the last day of March, thankfully. I've done so many events, and the next big event's in June. So now I have a little bit of time to kind of like refocus on the speed dating stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know people have asked me, and just so you guys know, if you guys want any idea, the last event that she did, granted, it wasn't a ton of people, but I will say this: the girls outnumbered the guys by a lot.
Yes.
And I was like,
guys.
where was
Get
this
over
when
there.
I was single?
Get over there, guys.
Yeah.
So
we had some great girls out there. They're funny.
So just throwing that out there, guys. So, anyways, I think that's for my first time hosting. I did okay.
You
did
did
I
a
okay?
dang good job.
You did well, good.
Yes,
You did well.
Watch, we get like 0 views on it and whatever, but
like, follow, subscribe.
Yeah. So yes, please, if you like what we're doing, hit the like button. Consider subscribing. We have our tip line page at whatsthetulsa.com/tipline. Send us a story, your car. Send us something interesting. Tell us
your garage tour. We've been hot on garage tours lately.
Oh, thanks. So we've been doing a garage tour. We've only done 2 or 3 right now.
Yeah.
We've only put out one or two.
I think we've only put out one.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put out the second one's coming very soon.
Yeah.
We're planning to come to your shop. So if you want us to come to your shop, check out what you got, your garage. Literally your garage. Not everybody has a shop.
If you're in Southern California. If you're in Indiana, we're probably not going to make it
Unless you want to
out.
fly me or Christina out there, we can just do something. Maybe
Australia?
Yeah,
Australia.
It's like Danny Irvine. We'll come out to your garage. What's up, dog? If you're watching the show by now, I'm going to have to tell him now.
That would actually be pretty epic. Could you imagine all those cars?
I've seen his shop. His picture of shop. I would love to do that garage tour.
That would be epic.
Wow. Anyway, okay. I've gone off on the rail here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
So here we go.
Yeah, I can't wait for this intro.
What intro?
That's what I'm wondering.
This is going to be a complete shit show, so I'm just going to chalk it up as that.
And remember, when you talk to the audience, you do have to talk to
Yeah, I know. I got to look at that damn camera.
Well, we're rolling, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, so CJ's not here. Wait, I got to look at the camera. Shit. I'm like looking at the fucking...
harder than it looks.
Oh, it's way harder.
The screen.
It's way harder. So the cat's away. The mice will play. That's my opening line. I'm not CJ Ward.
Wait,
and why is the camera not
Yeah, I was just saying, it's stuck on me. I'm like, what's going on here?
This is going to make great blooper reel. All right, check 1, 2. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
So we'll just try this again.
Okay, try it again.
Okay.